This episode of the Patriots Postgame Show is presented by DraftKings.
This is the Patriots Postgame Show presented by DraftKings.
First down,
touchdown.
Dive to the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
Hand off to Stevenson. Runs it left, big hole across the 40. Cuts left at the 45 and steamrolls the defender there.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Matt Smith.
And we welcome you inside Gillette Stadium, where moments ago the Patriots lose to the Miami Dolphins in a score of 15-10. Our TPX hotline is 855-PATS-500. Podcast at patriots.com is how you reach us via electronic mail. Matt Smith and Paul Perillo here. Paul, give me an instant analysis.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a disappointing performance, I thought, overall. We talked a lot about all the different things that we wanted to see today. And it wasn't just, well, let's clean everything up. We wanted to see a sort of different style, some more aggressiveness offensively and production, I should say. Not necessarily aggressive, it's more production. And we didn't really see any of it. And to the contrary, Matt, we saw a lot of mistakes again today. They had almost as many penalties as first downs.
13 accepted was when that's what I counted, 13
so
accepted.
It was, I just thought, this one, to me, was the most disappointing. This was a team that came in Miami, and you were right. You said it, and you did. You convinced me when you said it at the time in the pregame show that Miami had plenty to play for, and they would put a spirited effort in. Miami played hard, but they're just without too much. And to allow that semblance of an offense to move the ball the way it did all day is really disappointing.
Yeah. Where to start? There's just so many different places. The head scratching, time management, and play calling at the end of the half, Paul. That was a very, very key sequence.
So, yeah, no, that's going to come up on. Definitely going to come up again on the good, the bad, and the injured. It's like we can talk about a lot of things. About that. Things that you're looking at. Error repeaters, right? You want to see things. You want to see mistakes not get repeated, and that's almost a carbon copy, Matt, that sequence that you're talking about. It's almost a carbon copy of what happened in Seattle.
Yep.
And only because of the utter incompetence of Miami, it didn't hurt you.
Right.
It didn't hurt you because of, snapping the ball just before the 2-minute warning when no one was looking for a 25-yard loss, cost you one field goal if you're Miami, and then you roll a snap back on the field goal that you get gifted by the poor clock management that you're discussing. So the Patriots have only themselves to blame for this game today. Miami gave them more than ample opportunity to win the game, and they just couldn't do it. Right, right down to the last play. I really think that's a play on the second down play. I think Jalen Pope's got to get his feet in bounds on that, and I just, it's there's a lot of different things that they're not quite doing, Matt, and it's sort of emblematic of teams that are 1-4.
I'm not Dean Blandano or Mike Pereira. Paul, I don't know what the official rule is, and maybe I should know it. I apologize. The toe isn't enough to get in for Polk.
No, toe, heel. Heel came down out of bounds.
Yep.
Half a foot came down out of bounds.
Right.
Really, it
So
wasn't all that close.
I just didn't know if the toe could get you in, and it didn't.
No, the toe can get you in on the side.
Yep.
Like if your toes are down and then you fall over, but once your foot comes down out of bounds, it's out of bounds.
Right.
Like it's pretty clear.
And by no means I'm not trying to sit here and put pins.
I know you're not, but like, there was a hue and cry, in the stands. People obviously just are not aware of the rule, and I think Jalen Polk might be one of them. He was adamant last week that he was in bounds on a play that he wasn't, and I think he was really upset when he looked at the replay today. So yeah, that's some things that I think they have to sort of figure out, but that's kind of secondary to the issues. Mike, we were just sort of getting started here, and I just sort of opened, Deuce, with like the stuff that we wanted to see progress in terms of, some more production, particularly in the passing game. We just didn't see any of it.
No.
And instead, we saw maybe a regression in terms of a flurry of mistakes.
Yeah.
Almost as many penalties as first downs. Just not a really good performance overall.
No, it wasn't. You got a couple plays, I think, couple big plays. I mean, I'd even say throughout the contest there were a handful of big plays here and there that kind of offset some of those bad mistakes, especially early on with the big play by Ramondre, but that was kind of it for the end zone. So, yeah, just disappointing effort. You thought they were almost going to pull out a miracle there at the end, and as you guys touched upon, just fell short.
It's this isn't exactly coming from Amos Alonzo Stag here, but tough to win when you score 10 points.
Oh,
now,
absolutely.
They butchered a field goal that would have, had a factor in the end of the game.
Yeah,
that's
if you
yarder.
make the field goal, then it's obviously a different game at the end. But it was just two bad teams playing against each other today, if you ask me, with a flurry of mistakes on both sides. You can't miss. That was an extra point.
Correct.
33-yard field goal. You can't miss that. The 63-yarders are all well and good, but we need the 33-yarders, especially a team that is so offensively challenged.
Right.
It's a good point, Matt, because then obviously you can kick a field goal at the end, and and you have a chance to take the lead.
Patriots lose 15-10. Matt, let's go to the good, the bad, and the injured, please, sir.
Now it's time for the good,
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
the bad,
Hey, what happened?
and the injured.
You all right, Gay?
I'm only 5 into these, Paul and Mike. Would you say, is it safe to say, as we're going to this, not a lot of good and a lot of bad as we break this one down, Mike?
I don't have to put labels on it, Matt. We'll just have to see how it goes. Sometimes Paul's got some random goods or random bads. You never quite know.
I'm going to have to put my readers on.
Yeah, he's going to put his readers on. He's going to dive down deep.
Then do you want to start, Mike?
Sure. I think that there were, maybe a few more goods today than there might have been the last couple of weeks. But I'll start with Demario Douglas. I thought he, was pretty effective. And, for a stagnant passing game, big play down there at the end. Really to make it interesting. I think he had probably the two best plays of the day. So, just a little bit of production from Pop. Like to see it. Like to see him getting involved, and hopefully he can, continue to build on what he's been doing.
I like the way that Mike said it, because it wasn't necessarily, 6 for 59. It was nothing really to write home about, but there were two plays in this game that I have not seen all season. And they were both to, crossing routes to Demario Douglas. Yep. So when you initially said Pop, I was like, what did he do? And I was like, no, you know what? Those were two offensive plays that we had today, and they were both him. And they were both as a result of his speed, I think, sort of streaking across the middle of the field. So
You'll stamp that one?
I'll allow. Cosign.
Thank you.
I'll cosign on that one. I will start off with just the early special teams I thought was on it. I thought right from the opening kick, Christian Ellis, nice tackle, short of the touchback line. And I thought that they did a good job of, you block a punt. Brendan Schooler gets a hand on a punt.
Good play.
I just thought the special teams, and this is going to sound stupid. You're going to say I'm hypocritical. I don't necessarily think of a missed field goal
as
being
a special teams play?
Like that's not necessarily for the Miami. It is because you roll a snapback.
Correct.
That's why you miss a field goal.
Right.
You don't ever get it off.
Right.
But the kicker kicks it and it goes up and it missed. That's not having anything to do with any of the scheme or
the operation,
the execution of the players, other than the kicker himself. So I thought special teams were. I thought the special teams were worthy of a good list today. In general,
I'm gonna have to. It's tough to say that when you whiff on a chip shot field goal, because that's a special teams unit that's out there on the field. I know the operation was fine.
It's fair, but I thought they made four other plays that almost won the game for them.
You got to make the kick. I'll give you another special teams play that was poor. What's the Antonio Gibson fielding the ball back in the fourth quarter on that? What are we doing?
Yeah, I thought that was a strange decision by him. Cost him 6 yards.
Did it cost him 10?
No, it cost them 6. They got the 19 instead of the 25, which it would have gone to the 25 on that. But you're right. You're right. The special teams weren't perfect.
I just thought that it was a poor decision.
It was. Oh, it absolutely was. I was with Mike and Evan at the time, and I said the same thing. So I think you're right, Matt.
Yeah.
See, this is. You're 5 in, so this is how it works.
It's give and take.
No, seriously, you throw the goods out there, and then you either agree or you disagree, and then you move on to someone else's.
This was a strong good that I had, and I don't know
strong to quite strong.
How great I feel about it at the completion of the game, and that was Christian Gonzalez.
Yep, I'm with you.
He's worthy of a good today, don't you think?
Absolutely. Had the interception, nice play. Just
should have had another one, by the way. Heck of a play by Tyreek Hill.
Good play by Tyreek. I just thought to kind of stick with him though late in the down too, because that's the time when Tyreek just got that extra juice. So I think you're seeing it from Gonzalez every week. After training camp, everyone was so quick because he had such a good 4 games last year to anoint him the next great thing, and I feel like that's doing him a disservice because it's just kind of skipping this part now, which is starting to see some development, seeing him start to make some plays on the ball. He got an interception last year against Miami, so maybe he's got something against Miami with those picks. But no, he's a really, really good player. I'm glad we have him.
He had a tough task today because you got the safeties playing in Sharon, and he's asked to track two very quick guys across the field. I thought there were back-to-back plays early in the game that couldn't be better. One, he had Waddle on an out that he had blanket coverage on, and then the next play was the diving interception. That was kind of it for me, though.
Yeah. No,
I loved those two plays.
A little sporadic.
The rest, he was kind of out there.
That 21-yarder to Tyreek at the end is a tough play where he's staying ahead of him, and Tyreek kind of throws it down. No,
Christian Gonzalez would absolutely not be anywhere near anything that I would have to say negative about this game. He'd be 53 out of the 53. Like he was probably their best player today.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to tell you that I would have put him on the bad list. I'm just saying he had a tough task today chasing those guys, and I thought the damage was limited by Tyler Huntley. Not by anything that the coverage did.
Yeah, but you know when they needed it, Huntley was there. Huntley was money when they
terrible.
needed it. I don't know that he was terrible.
That throw in the end zone. That throw in the end zone that Gonzalez should have picked off should have been a touchdown.
Yeah,
you guys realize that, right?
Yes, I do. If he holds on to that, he's gone.
No.
Oh
no.
If Gonzalez,
if there was an NFL quarterback throwing the ball, it's a touchdown.
Yep. How about another one?
I got one.
Again, maybe with everything in front of him, and what were the expectations? I thought Mapu played okay today. You know, again, it's Waddle and it's Hill.
I'm sad you stole him from me, Matt, because I was ready to jump on him right away.
I'm not stealing anything. We can agree, can't we?
No, I mean, just to put him up, I mean, I was chomping at the bit, too, because I'm just amazed at what he did today.
It's a terrific performance.
I mean, calling signals in the huddle, playing, a linebacker role, playing a safety role. I don't know if he played every snap. He might have, but we talked about it on the pregame show. The guy has basically practiced 3 days since, last year. And to come out and to play that much and to look pretty good, he didn't look overwhelmed. I was I'm kind of encouraged just to have him out there and in the mix all of a sudden. I didn't really know what to expect from him this summer. How's he going to fit in with Duggar and Peppers? I think they've got a little bit of a player there that they can play with. So I look, this is a miserable loss and it feels crappy right now. But Marty Mapu, I am
silver lining.
That's
what I wrote, and
just
to say I'm jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
I just wrote 15 in general.
Yeah,
Mapu in general. I don't know how well he played.
Right,
I couldn't tell you.
I agree with you on that.
But to step off onto the field and play, I think you're right, Mike. I think he played pretty much every snap. If not 100%, if not 100%, pretty damn close.
Yep.
He was doing exactly what Mike said. He was running the huddle. He's calling the signals. He's playing traditional linebacker next to Raekwon McMillan. He's playing back deep safety next to Jalen Hawkins. He was all over the place. Again, I couldn't tell you how well he played. I'm sure he was out of position on a number of plays, and I'm sure he was in position on a number of others. But just to do what he did today, I think is really impressive.
Yep.
You would figure that he's only going to get better. As he gets a little bit, get his legs underneath him.
He gets that fourth practice in this year.
Yeah,
right.
He'll be ready to go. I just say, too, I think it afforded them a little bit of flexibility that they weren't able to put all of it on Jelani Tavai and move him out to the edge. And,
I
don't know what the communication things were. I mean, I'm sure that there were a couple guys probably doing the communication, but from what I saw, a lot of the time, it's Mapu lining guys up. I mean, this kid's barely even played. I mean, he barely played as a rookie.
I couldn't agree with you more. I had him just for that alone.
Crazy.
But I think you're going to see this week there's going to be a lot of expectation. Now, the bar has been shifted on Mapu to, when's he going to play to?
Yeah.
Well, now he's a contributor.
Yeah. You get on the good list today for playing every play.
Right. Now you got to do
that
something.
won't be enough. In 3 weeks, that won't be enough.
Correct.
But for today, it got all three of us to notice it.
Yeah. What else on the good list, gentlemen?
I'm hesitant to say it, and I'll just kind of mention it without putting on I thought the third down defense was pretty good today until the end, you know, and that's.
Did they run out of gas,
when it
Mike?
fell. I think they kind of ran out of gas at the end. That's, and so you got to go by the game-winning drive, and that they weren't able to get off the field.
But 2 for 11. It's 2 for 11. Though I got it. Yeah. I mean, I would put. The third down defense in this game in general was outstanding.
Yeah,
both teams are really good on third down.
I'll put it on then, but yeah, I thought that was a key part of just keeping the game close. I mean, Miami had a lot more juice than the Patriots did on offense today, but whether it was penalties or stops by the defense, certainly some of those stops were aided by penalties that ended up with third and longs and those kind of things. But still, I thought that was really where the game was kept manageable, and you were slowly able to hold on to that lead that evaporated over the last.
I think one of the things that was tremendously frustrating as a takeaway from a Patriots fan is they come in shorthanded. They knew that they had to play in order to try to stay in this game, and for the most part, they did. There's some things that the coaching staff can look back on and really hang their hat on and say, "Hey, we got something here. We got something here." And
Who is this we're talking about?
The Patriots, because I think they made a couple of different plays to kind of keep them in the game. But at the end of the day, it wasn't good enough. That long drive was at 80 yards at the end of the game when they were gassed and they got run over. They couldn't get off the field at the end. And credit Miami for winning the game.
Yeah, that was which one was that? That was a 15-play, 80-yard drive.
I don't have anything
that took up 7.5 minutes. So that to me was. I mean, that's the game.
I thought it was embarrassing.
Right?
I thought that drive was an embarrassment. All they did was line up and run the ball. They said, there's no way we're going to let that guy cost us the game. We're going to run right at you. We're going to tell you we're going to run right at you, and you can't stop it.
Back-to-back plays, right for 16, and Mostert right after that, the next play for 18, and that's when that was trouble at that
So I did
time.
have more things in the good. I think interesting that evidently 3 plays was the benching. Ramondre Stevenson, I thought, ran really well in this game. Obviously as the big touchdown, but I thought he ran well in addition to that. That play, though, the touchdown, the 33-yard touchdown, was really well blocked. I want to give Michael Wenyu a shout-out. Yeah. Again, at guard, he just looks like he's a different guy in there. The pass protection overall wasn't all that much better, but I thought that run play with Stevenson, and I thought Gibson ran well, too. 6 for 52, with a 24-yard run. Those two guys, Gibson's run in the fourth quarter should have been one of those.
Like the Seattle game.
That's a huge play.
Yes.
Like, it gets you, like, it flips the field, and then they let Miami just drive down the field anyway, and it didn't matter. But I thought that the running backs, I had them both on my good list.
Yeah.
And a nice little block by Booty, by the way, besides Big Mike on
yes.
that.
Yes.
Very nice block by
Good job.
Booty on that.
The more Booty plays, the more I like him.
Nice third down catch for Booty, too.
Terrible miss by Evan McPherson in overtime. Woo.
Red Zone.
Headline, Paul likes Booty.
Red Zone Paul has joined us along with Fred Kirsch, who's joined us. Yeah. Give me some instant analysis, boss man.
It's like two teams that didn't want to win a game. They both handed it to each other. The call at the end was a good call on Polk. It was a toe-heel thing. Although Paul and I disagree. I think the pass interference on Ellis over the middle of the field was a bang-bang play, and I think Ellis timed it perfectly, and it looked bad, but he came over him after the ball was whizzing by. So I thought it was a bad PI call.
Honestly, think you're out of your mind. Like I think that is like as blatant a pass interference as ever happened.
I know you
in the
do.
league. Like
I disagree.
He literally tackled
after
him before the
play.
ball got there.
No, not before the ball. Not before. Look at it again. Well,
I've seen it 4 times. They showed it on the replay and they showed it in the big screen.
Maybe we can cue it up here. We can both take a look at it.
But
anyway,
that was on the 80-yard drive.
And I have it.
Chris,
we haven't started the bad list. That should be on the bad list. That's one of the dumbest penalties I've ever seen. On 3rd and 13,
I know.
You're tackling a guy for a 5-yard gain. They're going to punt on 4th and 8, even if he catches it.
Yeah. Had he tackled him, you would be right.
And Fox did a really good job.
He did tackle him, Fred. You can't. You might say that the ball was gone, but he tackled him
after the ball was gone.
No, I know. So just tackle him when he catches the ball.
Okay.
Instead of tackling him before the ball gets there.
All right.
Fox did a really good job on the replay on that. I don't know if you guys noticed it. As we were singing Mapu's praises for getting everybody lined up, Ellis was way out of position on that play and had to come nearly across the field to try to get back into position, and I think that helped cause the pass interference.
Bad fit.
I know.
Sorry, Red Zone Paul.
Derrick Henry just won the game for the Ravens.
Coming down. Look out. Train rolling down the field.
Inside the 5.
You guys were talking about, I would agree, both running backs ran hard.
Yeah.
I thought that Pop Douglas had a decent game.
On the list.
Now, Matt, here's where Fred just like repeats everything that Mike.
I wasn't here. He just asked.
This is the boss man analysis.
I asked for the boss man analysis.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mike led off with Douglas. I agree with you guys.
Yeah.
I think we were all, it was strangely mostly agreement. I talked about the special teams up, and Matt shot my special teams down.
But as the game went along, well, we not on the bad yet, so I'll hold off.
Well, I think, have we emptied the bucket on the good?
I have.
I wanted to just, I thought the play that Jennings made in the first drive was big. Like, Miami's driving right down the field, big sack, sort of backed them up a little bit, forced them to kick a field goal. In a game that figured to be low scoring, those are big plays. And I just wanted to give, similar to Mapu, but not anywhere near as significant as Mapu, is that the new kid, Roy. Jaquelin. I think it's Jaquelin.
He showed up on the stat sheet.
He was out there a handful of plays, and pretty much whenever he was out there, I noticed him. And, he was competing. Now, he was also out there when they were getting run on. So I'm not going to try to tell you everything's great. They got to steal with this kid. But I just thought, given the situation, coming up off the practice squad, he played a role today.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
Okay.
Just as far as setting edge is concerned, I don't want to,
Matt, you need a little windshield wiper?
I do, I think. These lights. Oh, boy. Tavai, I know you talked earlier about the fact that, letting him, freeing him of the green dot responsibilities. I saw him set a better edge, and he played, I think it was a more Jelani Tavai kind of a game.
Yeah.
That's what they put him in a better position to succeed to help the team defense.
I'd agree with that. I'd also, not that any of these guys are on the up list. They can be on the up list adjacent. But just a shout out, I thought, again, late run defense was tough. I thought Godshaw played well out of the gate. Uche picking up that sack, which, kind of more of an impact of the overall pass rush. But, few individual plays there by a couple guys.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm good.
So let's start 193 yards rushing.
Let's start with the bad, Mike.
All right, where to begin? I'm going to start with Nick Leverett. I thought he cleaned it up a little bit, but we had some penalties early on. We had some free rushers right up the middle a couple times. That bad snap where I guess he moved the ball forward. I didn't see the replay of that. I don't know how good that was, but I thought Nick Leverett early on. We put a lot on him last week. Kind of stayed out of the spotlight with no mistakes, but there were some mistakes early on this week, and I thought that set the tone for him. So Nick Leverett, sorry.
Yeah, I think that was emblematic of what I thought the problem was today in general. It's just the sloppiness. So you go back early in the game, you get caught with an extra guy in the field. And, Matt, the more I'm thinking about it, the more you're right about special teams. I forgot about that play. They get caught with an extra guy on the field, and they give, on a punt. Like, on a punt, how do you not have your personnel out there, and you give a free first down? Just the sloppiness, and Leverett was part of that. I also just want to write down, just in general, because you guys know how I feel, especially you, Freddie. I put Adrian Hill in crew.
Awful.
Bro, no one came to watch you. 18 penalties accepted today. 12 for the Patriots, 6 for the Dolphins. There had to be 7 holding calls. I'm sorry. I understand that holding happens a lot. You don't have to call every one of them, buddy. Some of them you can just let go. And I know the Patriots committed a lot of penalties, and I'm not trying to say it was, please don't misunderstand. I'm not trying to say they got screwed because the refs called so many penalties, but no one came to watch these guys. Suddenly, for the first time that I can ever remember in an NFL game, 10 times, Fred, they had to correct the clock.
Yeah,
that to me is an Adrian Hill problem, not a guy upstairs.
I don't know about that, Paul. I don't know where the problem lies on that.
Have you can you ever recall that many times where they had a
no?
And I'm talking about by 1 second.
No, I know.
I'm not talking about the clock stopped and it shouldn't have, and it was 30 seconds.
Something was wrong.
There was 1 second off on 5 out of 6 plays at the end of the first half.
Something was definitely wrong, but I don't know whose.
So I just had the whole referee crew on there. I had no use for them.
Okay.
Well, I think in combination with the two teams, and New England was certainly far more guilty of it than Miami, who shouldn't escape. But that Canton's not asking for a copy of this game to be shipped. Right?
No.
That was tough. And there was a lot of Twitter noise out there, people complaining. But that was a tough product to watch today, And I credit the fans because it sounded like, at least from my vantage point, buried deep down here in the bowels, sounded like they were loud and into it. Yes? No? What did you guys think?
It's hard to tell from the
Not
press
at all.
box.
I couldn't.
Okay.
I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, I didn't
and
think-
I saw, matter of fact, I saw a lot of empty seats.
Yeah.
In the second half, there were a lot of blue seats.
Yeah, it's hard. It definitely wasn't loud compared to other games.
Usually you see the red seats after halftime. I saw a lot of blue seats today. It was like, where are you guys? I would have been happier if they were like, we want May.
Yeah.
Not even that.
Not even that.
I mean, when Polk almost scored the touchdown.
There was a good reaction
that
on
was
that.
good. People were excited, and
Okay.
we know what happened.
Boo birds or no boo birds?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
lots
were?
of lots
Lot
of
of
boo
boo
birds.
birds?
oh, there were
Okay.
early boo birds. Yeah.
I mean,
Mostly the play calling.
They
that
ended
were
up with
doing.
less than 299 yards. They had to have 50 of it on the last drive at the end.
Right.
It was
that
didn't
was
matter.
all Revlon yards.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Mike, what else on your bad list?
Well, I think Paul touched on it, but the run defense, I think that's what ultimately let you down today.
174,
at
did you
the
say,
end.
Paul?
193.
193.
For a team that was
Ouch.
28th in rushing.
And, and it seemed as they went along, it got worse.
Yeah.
And, they were just in a blender. They were spread out. I don't know if that's DeMarcus Covington and the defenses that he was calling, but something changed as the game went on, and maybe they were just scared of, getting burned by Waddle or Hill, but they loosened up when I don't know if they really had to.
The thing that bugged me, Fred, it was like they were giving up some yards in between the tackles, and they were giving up yards on the edge.
Yeah.
They didn't take anything away.
Correct.
Yeah.
The thing that was bumped me was just that when they'd have the edge kind of set on those wide zones, and you're like, they got it.
I didn't realize the Patriots were that bad run defense. I thought they were better than that.
No, it looked like they had some of those wide zones snuffed out, and then it would seem like the guy would bend it back up, and then
Great job cutting
and
back.
there it is. So they think those are linebacker issues, pursuit, coming back. I mean, you've got guys setting the edge, but you need those guys inside to weave through and navigate the traffic and make the plays, and they just
If you had
weren't
told
getting
me
it.
that the Dolphins were going to knock on the door of 400 yards total offense, I would have said you're insane.
Right. And think of
Insane.
how much more they would have had if they didn't screw up
Right.
Oh,
the way
God.
they
Oh,
did.
right.
Right.
I mean, the between the passes that he missed
Yeah.
or the passes that ended up getting caught that could have been bigger plays if he didn't make Tyreek Hill slip a disc to catch one over the middle.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I sound I get extra snarky and cranky when I see really bad football. It really bothers me. There were plays to be made today, and no one could make them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we didn't get a chance to watch an NFL game.
I think
it bothers me.
Both teams had opportunities
teams.
to get into
Both
the 20s
teams. Yep.
easily,
Yep.
except for their own mistakes.
Paul, what else did you have on your bad list, sir?
So I wanted to talk about something, Matt, that right at the top of the show you brought up. So we can tag team this one if you want. The whole thing at the end of the first half again, it was like a carbon copy of what happened against Seattle. You get a break because on third down in the red zone or close to the red zone, the Dolphins aren't ready to snap it because I'm almost positive they're trying to get an offside at the end, and they're going to let it run down to the 2-minute warning, and no one's watching, and the center snaps it 25 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So you end up making them punt, which is a blessing. You save points. Now you take over inside your 10. They run for 8 yards on first down to set up 2nd and 2
Second
from the
and
13.
Right.
With what was the time on the clock? 107.
And the Dolphins, they gave up.
The Dolphins had 3 timeouts.
And the Dolphins gave up so many yards on first down that McDaniel wisely did not call timeout.
Right. He figured, okay.
Well, they did what they did their job. They're gonna be able to get out of this half.
And then you throw it twice.
And they throw it twice.
Yeah.
And downfield.
Right.
If you wanted a hard play action, slip someone out into
Check
the flat, and see if you could pick up a cheap 12 yards.
Yeah.
Fine. He threw a fade down the sideline and had no shot.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, number 4, I can never pronounce his name. Kadu?
Oh,
Cater.
Kadu. Yeah, I know.
Kadu.
Yeah.
You're right, Mike. He was actually in position to make a play, and Polk made a really good play to make sure. I think it was Polk
To break
to
it
make
up.
sure it
Yes.
wasn't picked off. Then they throw it again.
Yeah.
If it's 2nd and 2 and you run it twice, don't you think you're going to get a first down?
Yes.
And now,
At the very least, they're going to have to burn a couple timeouts.
right. So I thought that was bad, and then you end up lucking out because they rolled the snapback on the field goal that you ended up handing them. And by
Correct.
the way, I believe by my unofficial count, Bryce Barringer in his 111 punts this year so far has 2 bad ones, and they're both in that situation.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep. Shanked it. You could
He,
see it right off
he
his foot.
shanked that one, which for him was, still like 41 yards.
Right.
But it set up
Yeah.
a good
12-yard
return. It
12-yard
set up a
return.
good return
Yep.
by Berrios, and they basically were gifted a field goal that they then handed back because, again, my annoyance,
Yeah.
it was a horrifically played NFL game with 2 teams that didn't want to do it, didn't want to win.
And I want to hear if the questions asked of Jerod in the post game.
I think it's going to be a tough one for him.
I think, Jerod says we want to be a team that runs the football. You're 2nd and 2 inside your own 20 with very little time on the clock. Just run it out and go home. Go back into the locker room and regroup.
If you line up and let's just say you get 5 yards on 2nd down. I have no problem. You want to call a timeout and try to do something. But to throw the ball downfield and ensure the other team's going to get the ball back, to me, was exactly what he did against Seattle.
They got the weirdest identity issues in crunch time, and that they just seem unsure of who they are.
Well,
and
that's
all of a
what
sudden
separates.
they just but they tell us they want to be a run team. Well, just run the ball. Play conservative. Then they feel empowered to take shots. Oh, looks like we got a little advertisement. Thank you, Doc McLeod, for chiming in there for those watching on the video feed.
Yeah.
Everybody on the bad list.
Yeah, that's
Not the
We're
first
trying to
time.
debate who's that supposed to be.
well-rounded.
I think that's just a general fan, perhaps.
Yeah.
Nice cartoon.
Who
else, Paul?
I know I'm going to be really cranky today. I know I'm going to come off as really cranky. I just thought you had a golden opportunity to sort of get yourself right this week. The other team was just coming into the fight with not only they don't have their quarterback, they lose Achane right away with the. Oh, by the way, I think just so everybody knows, I think he should be forced to retire because he was in the fencing position after his concussion. So that is automatic. You should have to retire. The NFL should step in. They lose him. They lose Javon Holland. I don't know how. I don't know how they found themselves in that situation where they couldn't muster, to Matt's point, more than 10 points.
10 points
to win a game.
I know. It's striking when even at the end when I just you write the little summary quick and it's like 10 points and that was it. Like that Ramondre touchdown, that was
so.
Right, it's not like they left 25 out in the field. They missed a chip shot field goal. They missed getting points. They had to go for it. At the end when he couldn't get his foot in. And then you throw it as Paulson in the middle of the field with no timeouts left. That's not great. That's not great either.
Yeah, I mean that ball's got to go in the end zone.
It's got to go in the end zone.
I would even say in the first drive of the second half, 3rd and 15, they're down deep in Miami territory, and they run a draw. It was 3rd and 15 from the 16. I want to say they run a little quick handoff for nothing, and they kick a field goal. Just throw the ball into the end zone.
Yeah, what's the difference?
If it's not there, you throw it over his head and you throw it out of the back of the end zone. There's no real risk. If he takes a sack, nothing lost. You're at the 16-yard line. You take a sack, even if it's a 10-yard sack, it's still a chip shot field goal.
Right.
There were a lot of things I didn't understand today. AVP, which I hate. Alex Van Pelt, I hate the acronyms.
Call him Alex Van Pelt.
Alex Van Pelt. DeMarcus Covington, I thought, early in the game. After that sack by Anthony Jennings, 3rd and 17.
Yep.
Soft coverage to Jonnu Smith, give up 13 yards, set up a field goal.
Open right off the line.
Tyler Huntley's not going to convert 3rd and 18 by throwing a bomb. They're going to look to get in field goal range there, and they weren't ready for it. There was a lot of little stuff like that today throughout the game that I didn't like.
Is that it?
No one else has anything? You're just going to make me do all the dirty work?
You said a lot there.
I know. No one else has anything?
I don't know. I hesitate to put Brissett on it this week.
Oh, come on.
I just feel like he got. Matt lost a mic.
Wow, look at this.
So what is going on?
Matt Moreau, what would you suggest here? I haven't touched anything, and it's completely off its rocker.
So
maintenance in aisle 3. Maintenance in aisle 3.
While Matt Morrell's fixing that, listen. We can't just give Brissett a pass.
Yeah.
They would have played better if they had better quarterback play. It's that simple.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do.
I thought he was okay today.
For Jacoby Brissett?
No, I thought he made about 4 or 5 really accurate throws while getting pasted.
Yeah.
Okay. But
there were definitely a couple of those.
He's not on the good list, but he's not on the bad list.
Definitely not on the good list. I mean, he threw, they can't move the ball. And the quarterback doesn't go on the good list when you don't move the ball.
Correct.
But I thought there were a lot of hits he took as he was delivering.
Sure.
And you look up and it's like Polk makes that nice diving catch at the last drive. It was a nice catch by Polk. That was a throw that he got buried as he made. I have a hard time. I'm with Mike. I have a hard time criticizing Brissett today.
I just put it more, I think, on the offensive coaching and the plan and going in. And, your first, you're 5 3-and-outs on the game. Your first possession, 2 penalties, -5 yards. It's just sloppy. And it's just, like I said, there's identity crisis. And at certain times, they don't seem to know what they are. And, we kind of know what they are, I feel like. We know what the play was.
I think Jerod knows who they are.
Right. And so why are we, trying to do the stuff like Paul pointed out with the plays down the field at halftime? That this is an issue for this team, especially. I just feel like at certain times they get aggressive randomly for no reason when it's like you guys struggle. Try to play the clock more.
It's not just that. If you were playing, Kansas City, okay, get aggressive.
Right. Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
You're playing one of the worst teams in the league.
Right.
That was the problem.
Right.
I think everybody felt it too during the game. I was saying it to Evan. It's like it feels like this is next team who scores a touchdown. That's it. Who's going to get that touchdown? And I think Miami deserves a lot of credit though down at the end where they got a big play taken off the board. Then they got that penalty on Ellis. So they were kind of still having it, but
that's a great point.
They stayed with it.
They lost like a 30-yard run on that drive, and they still went down and scored.
Yeah,
like those are demoralizing penalties when you get them, when you have a big play and you lose. So I'm going to put another guy just for that kind of stuff. Keon White.
Mm-hmm.
So
2 penalties.
He's beginning to be a guy that gives you and then he takes it away.
Yep.
Yeah, he
Reckless.
didn't give you much today though, but he took a lot away on that drive in the beginning of the second half. The Patriots come out of the half 7-3. What was it?
It was
7-3, right?
7-3 at half. Yeah.
7-3 at half. It's amazing when you score that few points and you still lose track of the score. 7-3 at half. The Patriots put together something. They get out and they get a field goal. 10-3. Okay, put the hammer down. Force a 3-and-out. Penalty. Horse collar. Penalty. Roughing the passer. Like 2 15-yard penalties on that field goal drive by Miami.
Yep.
And they immediately feel good about themselves. All right, we're right back. It's 10-6. We're right back here.
That's a tough combo to get in the same series. The horse collar, roughing the passer combo.
Yeah, and the horse collar was pretty blatant too.
Yeah.
Blatant.
Now, at the same time, like Fred, you said, give it and take it. I'm going to give him a little bit of credit for that's a pretty good play, sticking with Mostert down the sideline, that he was close enough to get the horse collar. That's a pretty fast guy, Raheem Mostert. And a lot of times he gets the edge there and gets down the sideline. And White made sure he did. Now, unfortunately, he had to commit a penalty to do it. But I do recognize the motor and the athleticism for Keon White.
They've got something there. They got a little something there. He's got to be more disciplined, and they've got to develop and coach him to be that kind of a player.
I mean, Keon White can't be the best player on the line.
No.
Not at this stage in his career.
No.
It's asking a little bit much of him.
No question. All right, is that it?
Yeah, I
think so. I mean,
I just don't know what Keon White does well enough that's his calling card.
And that was him coming out of college.
Yeah, that's
what
Mike.
He's a tweener.
And I'm higher on Keon White than Mike is, but I think that's Mike. Is that Mike putting words in it? I think that's kind of your question on him.
I mean, just the overall consistency.
What is it that you would say you do here?
I mean, I like him as an interior rusher. I mean, there's a world of him and Barmore together that is certainly intriguing. But I think for Keon White to really ascend to the kind of player people want him to be, needs people around him, and he needs to settle in to a little bit more discipline. I still feel like he's all gas, no brakes.
Right, but you can see why a coach would like to work with that.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
There's a lot there.
Right.
But again, like right now, he's being asked to do too much. If you have Barmer out there, then now you can move him around a little bit, and he's not making these types of decisions that he thinks he has to. And obviously, if you add Judon to that, then he's even better. You can use him more of it in a complementary way.
A true edge person.
Yeah.
I think with a little more, speed and instincts in the middle of the field on the second level, that will, make up for and buy him a little bit of flexibility, because I think now when he's not disciplined in his rush lanes, guys are able to get out. Those are the plays. But if you got somebody who can run at middle linebacker and knows what's going on, they can sometimes track those guys down and prevent those from being big plays.
Yeah, just too many penalties today in general.
Yeah.
And even you're trying to put together a game-winning drive at the end, and you get 2 or 3 first downs and you get a holding call, and then you come out and then you get a false start or an alignment penalty. I think Miami ended up declining that one on Hunter Henry. I think it was a false start on Hunter Henry before that. Then there was an alignment issue. So just too many penalties.
Yep.
There was a false start, I think, on the before the 4th down play. It made it. Yeah, because they were at the
4th and 10. It was 4th and 10 about the 12, and then the 17.
And then they made it the 17, which obviously every little bit down there is hard.
Yep.
So it's just too many mistakes at big spots today, and that was the number one thing we were talking about, right? Going in, clean up the mistakes and stop being part of your problem. Make the other team be your problem, not you.
Yeah.
And today,
it was too much the other way.
You were part of the problem today.
Yep. Injuries, everybody. I'm not with the scribes upstairs, so I don't hear
Well, Stevenson came back in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Looked like he tweaked an ankle.
That's something to keep an eye on.
No, I think it was more of either a helmet or a shoulder to the shin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Oh.
Yeah,
I definitely had that as an ankle.
I did too.
That's what I was being told.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
It's an informed opinion.
Yeah.
Well-
Every once in a while he throws those out there.
From-
It's like
from
he
people.
pulls the pin, Matt, and he lobs it, and then usually he gives a sniff after.
Yeah.
it.
So is this the week that they come out of this sort of unscathed, which they needed a week like
I didn't
that?
see a ton.
Yeah, me neither. I think
Miami
that was
seemed like they
about
had
it.
a guy go down every other play.
Correct.
And they were almost all ruled out, which is rare in NFL games. But I think the only guy who came back in was Calais Campbell.
Yeah. Yeah, Dolphins had some, but sorry, I just caught those Denver Broncos uniforms, and I don't know why they don't still
Red
wear
Zone
those.
Mike.
But
Red
Red
Zone
Zone
Mike.
Mike chiming in
Those
with
are nice, huh?
old school Broncos orange with the old D helmet. Those new ones they got, not for me.
Okay.
All right.
You like the D helmet.
I do.
I like the big D.
So we
Helmet.
So
the
we
horse.
feel good about the good, the bad, and the injured. We got through it.
Yeah.
Why don't we take a break here and we'll try to get some of these phones and emails. TPX hotline is 855-PATS-500.
That's it.
No break.
No
Oh.
break.
Okay.
No break, and we
I-
have
I
like a 100-yard.
I
Can't
apologize.
hear you, man.
We have like 100. Yeah. Oh, there's a flag that's coming back, but it's going to be the pick is going to stand for Denver with Mike's orange crush uniforms. Those are like so much better.
It's iconic, right?
Did you
Did
like those
Gonzo
two?
get on your good list?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was on all of our good
Yeah.
lists.
Everybody had him on the good list.
Yeah. And Mop.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
A little hesitation.
So
I like
Fred-
that.
Not perfect.
He
not a
was on
perfect
my
game.
good list, but that's exactly how I had him on my good
not,
list.
not
I
a
did too.
perfect game, but considering the assignments and yeah.
Yeah. It's like you guys have been working together
it's
for
not
30
all
years.
about it's not all about Christian Ellis's pass interference. we see the game. Fred, you and I, we have a feel for the league.
That's
You and
right.
He's a building block,
Oh,
Gonzalez.
absolutely.
You
I.
know,
He's so fluid. Like even
Yes.
on one of those plays that Tyreek Hill ran him off and caught like a 20-yard like little hook, in cut, whatever you want to call it. Evan would call
Yeah.
it something totally different than that.
Yeah. A dig.
I would say just like the way he was mirroring him, and this is a guy who runs as well as anybody in the league, in Tyreek Hill. He's just so fluid. You have to respect the speed. I'm not saying like he's got to sit on that and take that away. You can't. Like he's Tyreek Hill for a reason. So that was a big. I thought he played well, but it wasn't perfect.
No.
Well, evidently that interception return stood because the Broncos are kicking an extra point.
Well, there you go.
I thought there was a penalty on the return. 10-10. Huh.
Okay.
How come we can't get offense like that? This is the only other game that had an over-under that was as bad as ours.
Yeesh.
Okay.
all right. Is
What
it
are you okaying about?
No, people want to talk about our game, not
Do they?
not the Denver Las Vegas Raider game.
Do they really?
The uniform
I was trying to help.
I hope so. All right, let's go.
Strong uniform game.
Jake in Australia is saying, good day, everyone. Just wondering how a team can have coaches but look like they haven't been taught a thing and regress far backwards. One positive, go Gonzo, and your immaculate defense against a fourth-string quarterback. So,
I mean, that's
Jake not from State Farm, but Jake from Australia, not dinging the coaching staff.
Can I just add, is he saying one of the positives was defense today?
I think one of the positives he meant was the way that Gonzalez played defense.
Well, I think Gonzalez was...
Defence, by the way, from Australia.
Yes, I thought Gonzalez was worthy of one of the positives today. I think he was one of their better players today, if not their best player. But the defense wasn't good today.
No, especially in the second half.
Yeah.
They fell apart.
No.
Allowing 400 yards while forcing the other team to be 2 for 11 on third down is almost impossible.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, we'll take a break at this point in time. TPX hotline is 855-PATS-500 if you want to reach us, and podcast at patriots.com for electronic mail. You're watching and listening to the Patriots Postgame Show presented by DraftKings.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it. So the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
Is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it. So the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes.
Oh no.
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes.
Oh no.
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
Join the conversation by calling into the TPX hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at podcast@patriots.com. Now, live from our studios, here is Matt Smith.
And welcome back to the Patriots Postgame Show presented by DraftKings, where the Patriots lose a tough one here at Gillette Stadium by the score 15-10 to the Miami Dolphins. And let's bang some phone calls out here. We'll go to Nelson first from Los Angeles. Nelson, you've waited patiently, and you're up first on the Patriots Postgame Show. Hello.
Man, this was an embarrassing. How you going to let a team that just played on Monday, didn't have that much rest, and come to your own town and whoop your ass?
I don't know.
Yep.
Good question.
Man, come on, like, this offensive coach sucks ass. Y'all need to change that guy. Y'all need to change the quarterback. Y'all making the team look bad. This organization doesn't know what they're doing.
So you're saying bring in May?
Yes, bring him in. That quarterback, he did his job. All right. What's his name was doing good, right? He does take care of the ball, but he doesn't take risks. He doesn't play like a real quarterback. He's a second-string quarterback. You had two second-string quarterbacks going at it and at it. That's how mad I am.
I hear you.
Miami had their second-string quarterback, and what's his name? Brissett is a second-string quarterback.
Yep. I hear you.
Paul, I know I know you're not a Snoop fan. While I don't think that Brissett was, he wasn't the problem, he also wasn't the solution. I thought Huntley outplayed Brissett today.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I didn't really see many good throws there.
I'm just saying, if you got to grade him, if you got to grade him, he got more production than scored more points.
Brissett. Yeah, but I mean, he made more plays than Brissett.
No question.
I would say
why do we care about comparing
So our starting quarterback was better than their fourth stringer.
Right.
Yeah.
Or maybe their fourth stringer was
Their
better.
fourth stringer was better than the Patriots starting
Like,
quarterback.
I don't care about that. I'm just looking at, you know, there were plays there. I think there was more time. He just holds the ball too long. He doesn't see the field. He doesn't get rid of the ball fast enough. He's not decisive. You know, yes, he's a warrior. He gets hit, and he still throws the ball. That's all great, but he makes it harder than it needs to be.
Yep. Steve from Miami, you're next on the Patriots Postgame Show presented by DraftKings. Hello, Steve.
I may be one of the few people down here who's unhappy. Very unhappy. But at first, it almost looked like May was going to go in when Brissett limped off the field. I thought, oh, okay, here we go. But it was a quick. He was back in there before you know it. But Paul, I've got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
In every other sport, when a team beats, when you have the same record, and a team, say in baseball, is for the playoffs, the team that beats you gets the win. Last year, the Commanders beat the Patriots.
Yeah.
Had the same record.
Yeah.
And can you explain to me how they got the number 2 pick, please?
I understand the
call,
confusion,
Steve.
and I am
Terrible
just
phone
Steve.
service.
I am 100% with Steve on this. I think that it's wrong the way the NFL does it. They go by strength of schedule. So if you have the same record as another team, and you were deemed to have played an easier schedule than the other team, then you're given, sort of credit, quote unquote, for being worse than the other team. But I think the fact that you lost head-to-head to Washington should give Washington, they should finish ahead of you in the standings, and in this case, given the Patriots the number 2 pick. Now, here's the thing. I agree with Steve. I think the Patriots should have gotten the 2 pick and Washington should have gotten 3, but that's not the way they do it. They base it on the strength of schedule. According to our good buddy Mike Reese, the Patriots would have taken Drake May at number 2 instead of Jaden Daniels. So it doesn't really matter.
Let's hold the Drake May thought for a second and go to Deshaun in Virginia. Deshaun, you're next on the Patriots Postgame Show. Hello, Deshaun.
Hello, guys. How you guys doing?
Great. How are you, sir?
Great. I just want to touch on 2 things, and Hardy just pretty much just made my point with the offensive end. Yes,
I've been called
I think
worse.
It's very important that we get Jacoby Brissett out of there because I was looking at a field review from last week's game, and he just doesn't see the field that well. He misses the guys. Like, I understand, the line is at 32nd rank or whatever, but sometimes there's certain sports they play actually better than they rank suggest them to be. So it's like if I feel like just looking at the game, if Drake May was in there, he can make certain plays and keep plays alive, and keep drives alive. So I've seen some instances where if Drake May was there, he could have made it harder on the Miami Dolphins defense. Then you go over the defense side of the ball. The D-line stuck outside of White, outside of Keon White. I give that secondary hell of credit because they had to sit there and hold their defense. Hold their coverage for a long time. Imagine if they had some pressure from the D-line, how many turnovers they probably create if they actually had help from the D-line.
Good call, Deshaun. Thank you for the phone call. And so we're now, let's see, we started around 4:15, so we're 50-something minutes into the show, and I guess we're going to talk about Drake May. Okay, the fans are starting to bang the drum a little bit more. It's week 5. We're heading into week 6.
Where to start?
So,
I feel like we've never stopped talking about Drake May.
No, but I mean,
it's the only storyline of the season.
We had to dissect it out and analyze the game, and he didn't play. And so now they've got a Houston team without Nico Collins, who got banged up today. And I don't know, did that game finish? The Houston Bills game?
Houston won on a 59-yard field goal at the buzzer. Texans.
So I guess I asked a question: is Drake May week this week?
You're supposed to
sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm ready. We're ready to put
I've
him in.
been ready for a while. I'm not sure it's going to happen this week.
Timeout?
Yeah. No, Fred says window closed for Buffalo.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Losing on a 15-yard field goal in the last play of the game against the playoff team is window closed.
Window closed.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
no,
Mike. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, I'm fully ready to see him. It can't be any worse.
I'm so ready.
It couldn't be any more, miserable than watching them go 3 and out 5 times.
Listen, I know he hasn't played a game in the NFL. We have no idea what he's going to look like when in a real game. I'm going to go out on a ledge or a limb and say if he had played in this game, they would have won.
Okay.
I'm not ready to do that.
I know. And I don't blame you.
Because
I don't blame you.
In everything Deshaun said in that previous call, I wouldn't argue I would argue with some of the specifics, but there's no arguing that Drake May has the ability to make plays that Jacoby Brissett doesn't. That's a physical thing. There's no arguing that.
Right.
There is an argument to be made that there were a lot of positions that Drake May might have found himself in that Brissett avoided that you have no idea about.
That's true.
Based on 9 years to no games.
That's why I said I'm going out on a limb.
Yeah, no, and I agree, and I'm not necessarily saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I'm not ready to say it's going to, like, I want to put Drake May in because I want him to start getting some experience and start developing, and then we can sort of figure out the things that he does, the things that he struggles with, the things that he needs help with, and we can sort of, for lack of a better term, beat those things out of him and move on. Like, that's why I want him to play. I don't have any illusions that they're going to rip off a 12-game winning streak if he steps into the lineup. I think people think that.
Well,
I think people look at
very disappointed.
I think people look at a game like today and say that when I got an email about it, they lost by a heel. If Drake May plays, that's a game they win. Well, how do you know Drake May doesn't throw 3 picks today?
No, we don't know that.
Right.
We don't know that.
Okay, here's one. This is crazy to even think about. But did they, Mike? I know you had the center as one of at the top of your list for being bad today. Did they solidify the line today so you feel a little bit better about it if you're putting the kid behind him?
Oh, no. I mean, not
to me.
Well,
you can't tell.
No, I mean, it's hard to come out passionately about that right now, as I can't really watch that stuff during the game. But, I think there were plenty of blown blocks again and plenty of times, like Paul said, where Jacoby Brissett is throwing the ball as he's being crushed. Yep. But I'm willing to take those risks, and I'm willing to put him in there. And yes, there's going to be good and bad.
Here's a play that, and I don't know the answer to, but I think it was in the first half. Patriots had the ball. I forget what the down and distance was, but just before the snap, Miami shifts, and they overload to the left side, which would have been Brissett's right side. And like nothing, he just continues with the play. And I'm thinking in my head, a more aware quarterback either calls out of that or, calls into some other coverage, either calls out of the play or calls into a different coverage. When he sees that, snaps the ball, and the rush just comes, and he's sacked immediately. And somebody's got to make an adjustment there. They just shifted, and
they overloaded. I know exactly the play you're talking about, Freddie.
Like I put that on the quarterback.
I do too.
David Andrews isn't in there, and we were told that with Andrews out, a lot of these calls are going to have to go to the quarterback.
And the telecast team I know the Patriots got the ball back and, ran out of time. But on that penultimate drive, when they turned it over on downs, Miami it was an all-out zero blitz.
Third and fourth down.
Why wouldn't you do that every single time if you're a defensive coordinator?
Because during the regular part,
you don't have to fear anything.
Yeah. During the regular part of the game, you're leaving yourself open to one play. All they have to do is find a squirrel once. That, in that time of the game, this is desperation. It's do or die. You have to stop. We got to get the ball out quick and make them throw it up for grabs.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked on 3rd and 4th down. I think
that's the play to me.
I think they looked at it and they saw it because I thought Miami's coverage was really good today until that last drive. The penultimate drive.
Perfect.
The soft spots over the middle, Douglas, Polk. I mean, they were wide open.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I think Miami called a timeout, if I'm not mistaken.
Don't forget the Patriots were the only team with safety issues today. Miami had issues at safety.
Javon Holland got hurt in the game, and Jordan Poyer didn't play.
Right.
So they were missing 2 safeties too.
Right.
And I do think you're right. I thought they went after them. They ran the ball better today, like from a blocking standpoint, I thought, than they did in the first 2 games when they racked up all those yards. I thought there were some holes today that they got through, as opposed to everything after contact.
Yeah.
I thought they did a better job, and that might just be the difference of Onwenu at guard as opposed to tackle.
I was going to say, you guys talked about Onwenu being more natural at guard, and, he certainly looks that way.
I just think it'd be great if they could roll this line again next, just try to start to establish some kind of continuity with these guys and keep Onwenu inside. I'd feel good about it.
I don't see there's any reason to change it.
Well, the only reason would be if they felt like So is better than one of the guys that's playing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
But I
and
agree
you also
with
don't know what his injury. Like, remember we talked at the end of the pregame show. Did he get dinged last week?
Well, no, he had the injury coming into last week, so
I know that.
I don't think he got hurt last week.
You just think that maybe he wasn't ready.
Yeah, maybe not quite. I mean, he was off for like 6 weeks.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, to Mike's point, if you could roll out the same 5, even if it's not great individually, it might be better for the team just to roll out the same 5.
And it might help the kid.
Yeah.
Right? TPX hotline is 855-PATS-500. Nick from Sacramento, you're next on the Patriots postgame show. Hello, Nick.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Loud and clear.
First, I want to say, Fred, I'm a huge fan. You provide some objectivity to this panel that otherwise wouldn't exist.
I know you're kidding.
We need more of your Pollyanna lens, by the way, because Paul is just too much of a cynic.
Yeah.
Way too much of a cynic.
I get that a lot. I do. You're right. You're right, Nick. I gotta change that.
No.
I know. I do because a lot of people say that, and I don't mean to come off like that. Seriously,
it's too late.
I know.
I think this team deserves a bit of cynicism anyway. But I have a question for you guys. I know you guys are friends with Fitzy and Andy Hart. They were speaking a lot of crap about Coach Belichick a couple days ago about him not having a plan, and the current nihilistic mess we see ourselves in right now is really because of Coach Belichick. Do you guys agree with that? And the second question I have is, have the Dropkick Murphys ever played in Foxborough? Cheers, guys.
I don't think in a concert, but I think they played at halftime or something.
I want to say
before a game.
I want to say before
one of the Super Bowl banner
back.
celebration games. I think they might have played one of those.
I think in the rain.
Yep. I think Belichick's roster has a lot to do with what's going on here. Obviously, it's not all his fault, but the last 4 years contributed to the mess we're in right now, and the drafting and all that. Yeah, so that's part of it. I mean, it's not all his fault, but there was. Listen, I've made it very clear. If you listen to Patriots Unfiltered, I love Bill Belichick. I will always appreciate what he did, but it was time. It was time.
Yep, it was time. David in Maine wants to know, in the fourth quarter after a sack, Jacoby hurt his knee and got up limping. Do they seriously think May is worse than a limping Jacoby? What are we doing? We all know that Jacoby can't be 100%. Give him some time off and put the kid in. Zolak agrees they need a spark.
It's harder and harder.
Is the drumbeat getting louder, Mike?
Because it's just, what's the point? At what point are you just running Jacoby Brissett out there for no point to continue to get hammered and to not be productive? And you'd rather at least feel like you're taking some of those lumps with a player that you want to build around and you want to get experience for. And it's a lot easier to stomach losses like this when you feel like our quarterback of the future got some good experience today and made some plays. And he made some mistakes too, but this is the kind of game he's going to remember down the road and be able to learn from and grow. That's the silver lining.
I do worry, though, that everyone's looking at Jaden Daniels and C.J. Stroud and saying he needs to be that right away.
Yeah.
And I can tell you he's not going to be.
But that's what people, and I know, Matt, you disagreed. I think a lot of people are looking at it like that.
I know.
Why can't he be like that?
I know.
And, and maybe he will. I'm not saying he won't.
Yeah.
Maybe he will. I just think that's unlikely.
So let's
remember, I don't know I don't know how many years C.J. Stroud played, but he doesn't have the experience
Jaden
playing.
Daniels started more than twice as many games in college.
I know.
50s, right?
I know.
I think he played 55 games, and Drake May started 26.
Yeah.
So let's look at
that makes a difference.
Let's look at this objectively. So take the immediate emotion out of the game, and when the coaching staff comes in tomorrow and takes a look at the tape, are they going to look at the tape and say, we left scoring opportunities out there that our quarterback held us back on? And Paul, I know you've been very consistent through all of summer. He plays when he's ready to play. Does the coaching staff look at it and say, with somebody else we think we would have had a better chance, now's the time to make the move?
Yeah, and that would mean that it was ready, because he wouldn't give him a better chance
if he
wasn't ready. So, that's the way I look at it. I know that sounds, kind of no matter what you're saying to do that. I'm with Mike. I'm ready for Drake May. I think it's coming sooner rather than later. I don't know if it's going to be another couple of weeks, maybe November. But you can't score 10, 13 points every single week and then just say, well, we don't think it's time to get our rookie quarterback some experience. At some point, even if you don't think he's fully ready, you might just have to do it just to say, like, well, we're not really doing anything this year. We got to figure out what he can
and
do.
it's not even the points, which I know is the ultimate thing, but you don't look like an NFL offense.
Like to be honest, Fred, to that point,
yeah.
Do you feel like they left points on the field today?
I do.
The only thing I thought they left on the field today was missing a 33-yard field goal.
Well, that, and, I mean, the Polk touchdown.
There's a missed opportunity when Polk...
certainly ain't putting that on the quarterback.
No. Well, that was a little high.
Yeah, a little high.
Catch it. Might have been a little late getting it to him, too. I think he might have been open a little bit earlier.
Well, that's the story of his career.
Correct.
I mean, come on.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think they left a lot of points on the field today. I got to be honest with you. How many, Mike? 6 3-and-outs?
Not 5.
Not a lot of points left on the field. They didn't move the ball. They can't move the ball, and I don't think they don't move the ball all the time because he drops back on 3rd and 6 and has 4 guys in his face mask and can't, and someone else would do it. I don't think he's missing a lot of wide open guys. Maybe you could say that the throw was late and high to Polk. Okay, maybe, but even then it's 17 points, and I understand that it wins the game. But that's not the point.
It's not the kind
of
production.
My point is offensive production.
Yeah.
And that, to me, does not change your offensive production today. Like, you win the game, and that's great. And I said in the pregame, I'd rather be 2-3 than 1-4.
Yep.
But I didn't want to win the game necessarily. Like, if I had to choose, that's not how I would have wanted to win the game. Like, we can't score. We're in this defensive low-scoring slog. And because the other team made more mistakes than we did, we won it. That's not fixing the problem.
No, that's the thing. I wouldn't even call this a defensive struggle.
No,
it was a struggle of ineptness.
Yes.
It wasn't like the defenses were flying around and making these great plays.
Not in the least.
That's fair.
That's
not
fair.
in the least.
Yeah.
So, Paul, you say Sooner. I think Sooner is the word of the week, and we've been hearing that sort of like dropped in from some of the friends and people like that. It's coming sooner. It's coming sooner.
Freddie's starting to sniff.
Is Sooner this week?
I don't think so. I don't know why. I don't think so.
I say it's either this week or London, and I.
So give me the benefit on either of those, Fred. If tell me why you think playing him next week against Houston would be the right move, or why waiting a week and going across the pond to play him in London would be the right move.
Well, I mean, you play him at home. It's going to be quiet when he's on offense. He'll be able to call out his things. It's just a better environment for him to get his feet wet. Houston's a better team probably than Jacksonville for sure, but it's not about winning the game. It's about just how is he going to perform? Is he going to
get in and out of the huddle?
Yeah, is this going to be a valuable experience for him? Is he going to get anything out of it? Obviously, if he's flat on his back all game, no, he's not going to get anything out of that, except injured. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to, call plays, protect him, do what they have to do so that, he does get valuable experience. And again, it's not about winning. To me, it's not about winning the game. It's about getting him experience.
Cohen, I don't care if they win.
And it's about getting him experience.
That's what they do to us on NBC Sports
and starting to see the semblance of an NFL offense.
Who do they got after England?
There's the Chad. There's the Chad Ryland we know. Block field goal, touchdown.
Indy back at home after England. Is that what it is? I believe.
I don't know. After Jacksonville.
Jets at home.
Jets at home.
Jets at home.
That ain't a good landing spot.
There's no good landing spot.
So, Mike, what do you think?
Yeah,
I'm curious.
Jets at home. I'd do 2 more weeks. I wouldn't.
I would do London.
I wouldn't do it. I don't know. Maybe I don't have a good reason for it, but it just feels like an international game.
London because they don't know what they're looking at. They won't boo.
No, because I just think that it's a way. It's kind of to your point. It's not going to be a raucous road hostile. I can't hear the signals. I got all kinds of things going on. It's not going to be like that in London. One thing that I was kind of thinking as you were talking, you're like, Houston, it's not about winning the game, but like maybe I could see the coaches going into that saying like, this is not a game. We have the ability to win 17-13. We need to do something to try to score points, and we need to take a shot. So maybe it's Houston. I look at Houston and say, that's a tough game. That's a tough spot to open with. And this is again all under the
conjecture.
It's all under the assumption that they feel he's ready.
Right.
So we're picking and choosing. Like what spot. I think London makes a lot of sense, not just because of the opponent, but because of it's kind of 3,000 miles
kind of
away.
more tame atmosphere.
It's a neutral site.
You don't think there's like some inherent pressure of playing your first game at home?
I hear what you're saying.
I know the crowd's going to be behind you, but then all of a sudden, you're in the middle of the second quarter and you have 3 points and 3 and outs, and you're like, oh man, it's the same thing with this guy.
But here's the other thing about London that I would say I would err on Houston. London, they're going to leave on Thursday. For a Sunday game, it's a disruption in the schedule. And I know they're going to practice on Friday just like they would normally, but it's not going to be normal. They're going to have been on a red eye. They're going to get off. They're going to go right into, take a shower, go to practice. So, that's not
okay.
That seems like a little taller of a task.
A little bit tall
for your first NFL
first game, right? So,
so
I agree with Paul. It's probably not going to be as hostile environment. That's true. But now I can get 2 weeks of non-hostile environment under his belt.
Right.
So I think next week's Houston's the week.
Yeah.
Let me make a phone call.
Freddie, get on that.
There's just no easy argument. Any game you're going to put him in, there's pros and cons, and biggest con being what's going to be around him. But that's what's going to be around him no matter when it is. So whether it's next week, whether it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's all kind of the same to me. I'm just ready for it.
Podcast at patriots.com is a way to reach us via electronic mail. Linda from Georgia writes, great show. Love the new studio setup, including the comfy chairs. Second, I thought the team would get a big boost from having a home game and getting guys back from the PUP list. No such luck. Do you have an opinion on the priority of changes and fixes, and what would be the timeline for implementing each one? I think we've certainly been banging around the idea of the quarterback position is probably top of the list.
Yeah, in season, that's the most obvious one. Otherwise, offensive line, try to find some continuity with those guys.
How many plays did Bourne participate in today?
We checked about halftime. I think he was close to 10 or so.
I think he was 9 at the half, and he was out there a handful more in the second half.
Yeah,
I think Mike's prediction of
You
20 is
nailed it,
probably
Mike.
going to be pretty close.
You nailed it,
somewhere
Mike.
in there.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't expect him to be in there.
And Mapu goes wire to wire.
I thought he would be like sort of more of a focal point on key downs, like a third down here.
Right.
I didn't think he would play a full-time role,
Yeah.
but I didn't think he played really much of a role at all.
How many targets?
I only remember one.
Same here.
I can check that for you, Fred. Right here. Just one target, one catch.
Okay, I expect more than that.
TPX hotline 855-PATS-500. Brad from Vermont. You're next on the Patriots postgame show presented by DraftKings. Hello, Brad.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
What a horrendous game.
Yeah.
Can you guys remember in Patriots history, we'll probably have to go back many, many, many years.
You guys might want to sit this one out. Me and Matt got this one.
Stacks up against how horrible Pats teams have been in the past. Because this looks like a historically horrible team to me.
Yeah, I understand the inference, Brad, and thanks for the phone call. We're 5 games in, and I'm not ready to go there yet because I don't know.
I will.
Okay.
Early 90s. This is 92-esque, 91, 92-esque. I thought Zoe was really good about this last year because those were teams that Zoe was on. And his premise was that those teams had more talent than last year's team did. This is basically the same team as last year, personnel-wise. There's a handful of guys that they brought in. Obviously, Drake May isn't playing, so I'm not counting him on as the talent because he's not playing. But, yeah, I think it's very comparable to the Dick McPherson years in terms of talent. They struggle. They're, like, we talked about it before the game. Like, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Do we have anybody that ran like Jalen Wright today? Like with that kind of speed?
Right. Yeah, you should bring up the 91 to 92 roster and see what it looked like.
Yeah, I mean it's Ben Coates, it's Marv Cook.
Yeah.
They had some pieces that you don't have now.
Tommy Hudson.
And again, I'm going off of Zoe, and maybe Zoe's a little biased because he was on the team.
Right.
I can understand him being defensive of a team that he was part of, but they went 2-14.
I know.
They went 4-13 last year. That's kind of.
They almost killed McPherson.
That's kind of the same. Oh wow.
It's diverticulitis.
The 92 team.
This guy, he's bad.
They had to bring in Dante to be the coach.
With the pencil over his ear.
Right.
The 92 team averaged 12.8 points per game. They were 27th of 28 teams.
Yeah, and they averaged 13 last year, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
same.
It's the same.
Yeah.
The caller's not wrong.
Yeah.
Tony from Canada, you're next on the Patriots postgame show. Hello, Tony.
Hi, guys. Good evening. So I think at the beginning of the season, I wanted to see Drake May start. I understood and heard that a lot of people were saying he's just not ready, and I can understand that. Plus, there was, I guess, always the odd chance that maybe somehow we could slip into the playoffs. I don't think anyone.
Where's the Jim Mora
sound
soundbite?
Playoffs. Sorry.
Tony, very few people thought we were going to make the playoffs.
Even the guy from Sports Illustrated that picked him to win the division last year didn't pick him to make the playoffs.
Bobby Orr.
Yes.
So, even more than reason, Drake May, it's never going to be the best time for him to go in. And if
I agree with
that. Next game is the perfect time for him to start. So what? The game after that or the game after that, that'll be the game that would be the worst time for him to start. He's going to play in those games. I'd rather we not win another game this season and watch May play and develop with our receivers than watch what I'm seeing now, because I think we're just wasting Drake May's opportunity. It's time. So.
Oh, sorry about that.
No,
that was me, Tony, and thanks for the phone call.
The premise of
brings up a good point.
The premise of it's never going to be the perfect time.
Right.
I 100% agree with that.
Of course, I'm falling more in line with that, and I think that this. Certainly the fans are feeling that way. Andrew from Los Angeles writes, you forgot one addition to the good list, the ability to draft Will Campbell in next year's draft in the top 3. We can't keep pretending that our defense and special teams could lead to anything other than a 2-15 team. May needs to play. The line's not that bad. Get May in there.
The line is that bad. Can I just push back? This is like there was a call earlier, and I think there were 2 emails. The start of that game today was jailbreak city. Yeah, maybe it wasn't every single play, but maybe Miami also looked at it and said, we don't need to do that every single play. They can't move it anyway. And then again, when the game's on the line and they dialed it up twice on 3rd and 4th down, ball had to come out real quick on those 2 plays. The line is not good.
I actually thought they might have adjusted midway through the game, Paul, but I think Miami could do whatever they wanted to do when they needed to do it.
I think anytime they dialed up pressure, they got pressure.
I'm not expecting Drake May to do anything, but there's also part of me that says that that NFL offense is a chemistry, and just because you take one player out and put one player in doesn't mean that everything stays exactly the same. And there's a different element of Drake May, and I don't know, positive, negative, but I think it would look different in various ways. And you never know. You never know that the protection could, start to rally around him. I'm not saying that they will, but, some of the receivers that are having trouble producing or getting targeted or, that could change a little bit. And for some, it might be for the worse. But, again, it's a chemistry kind of thing where there's a lot of different ingredients. And you pull one string and, put a little bit of sugar in and, a little bit of salt. And all of a sudden.
Paul says, how do you know if Drake played? He wouldn't throw 2 or 3 picks. And absolutely.
You don't.
But how do you know if you even though he does those 2 picks, maybe he has 3 big plays. You know, you don't know.
Right. That's the only reason why I say that. Not because I'm saying that he's going to throw 3 picks. I'm saying I'm not willing to say they win that game.
No.
With another quarterback, I don't know what happens with the other quarterback. Did the other quarterback play well?
Right.
Because if Drake May came in and played well, I would say they would have won that game today. I'm just watching, Red Zone as I want to do.
Red Zone Paul.
Right, 3rd and 9, Kyler Murray sort of gets flushed out of the pocket, scoots down the sideline, cuts back inside, and picks up 15 yards for a first down.
Move the sticks.
Drake May can do that.
Correct.
Right.
Jacoby Brissett can't.
Johnny from Madtown writes, I can't do it another week, guys. I can't. I want to be excited for Sundays again. I want to have faith in the quarterback's ability to make big plays. I need aggressiveness and some chances taken. And with Brissett, none of that can exist or does. Okay, where you guys are perched in the press box, can you hear the crowd?
We already talked about that.
No, I didn't.
Wow.
Oh. No, we can't.
When bosses argue.
The only time we can hear them is if they really erupt.
Okay. So there wasn't a cascade.
No booze. No,
there was booing, but I didn't
booing.
I didn't
make
you know what I heard
there
more
might
of
have been,
today.
but we didn't hear.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it sounds like, but indifference, ambivalence.
Yeah.
That's what I
think
heard
there was
today.
a lot
like
of
a
that.
resignation.
Yeah.
That's worse.
Yeah.
That's worse.
I would agree.
Yeah. Justine in North Carolina, you're next on the Patriots postgame show. Hello, Justina.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
I'm just so disappointed because I don't think that Drake May. I don't think he can do anything. If they haven't played him by now with everything that's going on, they're not going to play him. I feel like they're not going to play him for the rest of the year and possibly next year.
Oh.
I just think, because there's no excuse at a third-round pick. There's no excuse not to play him after losing 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
They just don't have faith in him.
Well, that's the thing. The only excuse really would be he's not ready.
Yeah, I can sort of ease your fears a little. He's going to play. I don't know when, but he's not going to sit out all the rest of this year in next year. That's not going to happen.
And I think we're all in agreement that sooner is going to be
he's going to play.
They keep saying that Jacoby is doing what he's tough and he's doing what we asked him to do. I just think that they're making the case that he's the best thing for them to play, and that sounds to me like Drake's not going to play. They should just trade him. Ask him if he.
Yeah, but that's not going to be the case forever.
Right.
It's the case right now.
And thank you for the phone call, Justina. We'll respectfully disagree. The person who is going to be in charge of making the decision sooner rather than later, when is sooner, when is later, is head coach Jerod Mayo.
I thought it was me.
You've already made the call.
I was ready to do my press conference.
Marine Corps, let's tee up the head coach, please, post-game.
Look, obviously a very disappointing game. I think there's no question we're tough, but we just have to be better from an execution standpoint. We got to be able to execute in situations. We got to be able to execute on a play-by-play basis, and we didn't do that. I would also say as the game wore on, our fundamentals began to slip, and that could be a combination of things. But look, we'll watch the film with a critical eye, and we just got to put a better team out there.
Jerod, with the 12 penalties and like you just said with the execution, what are you telling your team after a day like today?
That we can't do it. We talk all the time about pre-snap and post-snap penalties. It just wasn't a good day.
Jerod, how would you describe the separation at this point between Jacoby and Drake at quarterback? Is there a big gap between the two of them?
I don't want to get into the separation talk. I will say, look, Jacoby's out there trying to do what we've asked him to do from the start. He's taken some big hits, and his toughness continues to show up. Execution from the entire offense has to be better going forward. So.
Jerod, just obviously the defense had held them down for a better part of the game.
Yeah.
Do you think fatigue factored in on the 15-play 80-yard drive to put them ahead?
Yeah, I know for a fact fatigue played a part in this game. You think about Marte, this being his first game and playing pretty much every snap. I appreciate him doing that, but at the same time, we got to get off the field. We got to be able to move the ball offensively. We have to win the time of possession game, or at least be close. Which once again they controlled that.
Jerod, on the pass to Jalen in the back of the end zone, the closing minutes, what were your thoughts on how that play unfolded? And did you get an explanation from the referees on how the ruling and how it was overturned?
Look, you guys can ask the referees about that. I thought it was close. It was close, but it was the correct call in my opinion. But I'll have to go back and watch the film. I saw the replay live. Just a tough call.
Hey, Jerod, just to what do you attribute the lack of production in the passing game?
I think it's a combination of things. It's not just one person. It's everyone just going out there and executing. It's not even knowing what to do. It's, all right, a piece moves. We got to be able to identify that and go out there and execute. So.
Jerod, what did you think of the way the offensive line played today compared to the last couple weeks?
Yeah, I will have to look at the film. I would say there were times where the pocket looked pretty clean, and then there were times where you had a free runner right up the A-gap, and we got to do a better job taking care of that. It's about consistency. That's what it's about. It's about consistency.
Phil Perry on the left.
Jerod, late in the game on third down, they called a pass interference on Christian Ellis, led to a touchdown drive. Did they explain to you the foul on that play? Was there any sort of explanation after the fact?
That's a question for those guys. They threw the flag, and we always talk about, we'll do business is being done. We just got to do a better job as a whole, with penalties in general, whether it's holding or pass interference or anything. look, I don't think the referees are just out to get anyone in particular. I think we just got to play smarter.
Jerod, just as the head coach, how bothersome is it that things like discipline, penalties, production is getting worse, not better?
Yeah, I would, the pre-snap stuff definitely bothers me. And look, we have guys that they're out there, they're trying their butts off, but at the same time, going back, not to sound like a broken record, it's about execution, especially in critical situations.
We'll go up here.
Jerod, anything that you can anything that you can share about Ramondre Stevenson? We saw him really efforting to get off the field late in the game, but I don't believe he went into the medical tent.
He went back in the game after that.
So I'm sorry.
We'll see. We'll see how he feels tomorrow.
Andrew Callahan.
Jerod, through 5 games, how would you assess the job you're doing as a head coach and your staff as a whole?
Well, I would say for me, look, it's all about getting better. It's all about learning. It's experience. Look, there are definitely things that I have to do better as a head coach. I would say the staff, they're still, they're getting on the same page. And once again, like I said earlier, it's about getting better every week. And that goes to communication between the staff, and then obviously I have to do a better job as a whole.
Jerod, you guys got down to the 12-yard line at the end of the fourth quarter and called 4 straight passes. Is there any thought of running the ball in that situation since you guys were more productive on the ground?
Well, there were a bunch of conversations, about that. We ended up throwing the ball. That's what we decided to do, and ultimately it's my decision. I would say, we average, over 7 yards a carry? I'm not sure. So that definitely was part of the decision, or I should say part of the discussion. We just didn't finish it up.
Jerod, you talked about the offense needs to get going points-wise. 10, 13, and 3 the last 3 games. What kind of things can you do as the head coach in your mind to get more points produced with this offense?
We tell the guys all the time, once you cross the white lines, it's your offense, it's your defense, it's your special teams. You got to take accountability. And, we got to look at ourselves in the mirror, starting with myself and the rest of the coaching staff, and we just got to continue to progress.
Jerod, you talked, I believe, this week or last week about you expected to take some lumps. My question is, did you expect the lumps to be to this degree and the nature of which you're losing?
I expected to take my lumps just like a lot of other first-year head coaches. So, look, I'm fine with that. Once again, it's about the guys in that locker room, and we have to be better. We, including me. So.
Last question, far right, Sophie Will.
Hi, Jerod. Over here.
Oh, sorry.
I was just curious. We saw Keon White take 2 penalties on the same drive, both for 15 yards. Just what did you see from that drive, and kind of what was your message to Keon when he got off the field?
It comes back to discipline. Once again, it's all about discipline. It's about execution. I think those are the right calls. Thank you.
And there's your head coach, Jerod Mayo, and a big thank you to our partner, Microsoft Surface, the official sideline technology provider and laptop of the NFL and the New England Patriots, that provides players and coaches with the tools to succeed both on and off the field. Check out the new Surface Pro, designed to keep up with you as the most flexible, most powerful 2-in-1 laptop and tablet out there at surface.com. Quick analysis from yours truly here. Terrific question from Karen Garigian on that. You expected to take lumps. Did you think the lumps were going to be like they are right now 5 games in? I thought that was a really good question, and I don't know that Jerod answered it, but I thought that was a good question.
I just think what's surprising to me is the stagnation of everything, and where it kind of feels like Groundhog Day. It doesn't feel like anything is really getting better. It's just kind of whack-a-mole, and it's all staying where it's been, and that's what's troubling to me overall. And I'd say the same thing about Jacoby. Like, if they were starting to show something, it might be a little bit easier to say, well, let them continue to build a bit. But they're not really. It doesn't feel like they're building anything right now.
Would we feel the same or worse if they were getting blown out like 35-10?
Oh, worse, I think. I mean,
Worse. The same for me, because they have gotten blown out the last 2 weeks. Today they didn't get blown out because they played a backup quarterback. Like, it's the same to me. Everything Mike just said, that's what we talked about in the can I just see something a little bit different? Can I see some progress? And this is why I think you're going to be right, Fred. I thought I've been kind of along the lines of they're going to wait till like November, but I think you might be right with Drake May, because I don't know how many times you can have the same exact game unfold offensively. This is 5 weeks in a row. It looks exactly the same. It's not getting any better. It's the same. and it isn't good enough. And Jerod told you on Wednesday last week that it's not good enough. Like, even though they won that first game, he's telling you that's not good enough to win. It's not sustainable. So I think you're going to be right, Fred.
At some point in time, I think Jerod is keeping track of his words. I think he went back and heard what he had to say about ball security and said, I know it was only 3 plays or 5 plays or whatever Ramondre missed today, but he felt like because he said it all the time, he's got to follow through on that.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if the same thing is true here, that he just is repeating it's just not good enough. We're not seeing enough improvement on this. Then we got to go to I know the plan was to do X with the kid. We're going to speed this up a little bit now because we just can't continue with this.
Nothing gets a fan base more frustrated or media more, impatient than a coach that keeps saying the same thing over and over and doesn't do anything about it.
Right.
And so, actions speak louder than words.
And I think on the drive home tonight, Jerod Mayo is going to be thinking long and hard about, I wonder if it's time now. We got to make the change. Oliver in Denver writes, did we get more yards and penalties than offensive yards? Yikes, that was difficult to watch. With such a grind of a game, I couldn't help but think about what pieces we need to put together a competitive football team. I know we have injuries that have impacted us, but even if the team were at full health, would it really make that much of a difference in the watchability of games?
It was just 105 yards of penalties, so no, not quite.
So do you have it in front of you? It was 12 penalties.
Was it 12 or 13?
They have this listed as 12 for
12 penalties
105.
and was it 15 first downs?
15 for how many total? 15 total first downs.
How many penalties not accepted? Like how many penalties? Like
this is not,
there were at least 1 or 2 that weren't accepted.
a couple, but not that's not listed here. But
okay.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, and that's I
almost
think,
300 yards of offense, though. 299.
I think, you got how many on that last drive?
Right. Meaningless. Travis in West Virginia, Mike, this one's for you. After the game, Tyler Huntley was heard telling reporters that he thinks Mike Dussault is a stiff.
Just so you know.
I still think he's a stiff, but...
he said scrub. Fred was right.
Nothing I saw today would prove Mike wrong, I'll be honest with you, because I thought he had loads of opportunities to make throws and he just doesn't have the ability to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not to the Geno Smith level.
No.
Geno Smith was a professional, and he really... He played very, very well in the Seattle win against the Patriots. I thought Huntley didn't cost him the game and didn't get in the way.
He almost did.
I don't know about that. He made enough plays.
If he doesn't throw a pick in the first half, the Patriots do not score a touchdown. They don't. He gave him the ball on the 40-yard line. That's like
heck of a play, by the way, by Gonzalez.
Yeah, because he threw the coverage was perfect and he threw it to him. Like you watch the replay, Gonzalez is actually underneath inside.
Right.
It's a great catch. But there's no chance of that being completed. And then how many slants did he have that were open that he's throwing behind or low? The one to Tyreek Hill that would have been a first down early in the game.
Low.
Makes him go low and tumble a yard short of the first down. The one to Tyreek Hill that Gonzalez almost intercepted at the end of the game in the second half. Tyreek Hill is coming across the back line in the end zone open. He just doesn't have the arm to get it to him. It took forever to get there. The 2-point conversion. 2 guys open. He just floats it to the outside. He's not good.
Yeah.
I'm going to defend you, Mike.
Thank you, Paul.
I'm going to defend you.
Yeah.
He was good enough today, Paul.
He was good enough today.
In a couple weeks, we'll be headed over to London, and Dean from Liverpool writes, there is simply not enough talent on either side of the ball, and the roster has been getting weaker every year since we last won the Super Bowl. I believe that this is Bill Belichick's responsibility, and it will take Mayo and Wolf a few good drafts to dig out and fix the talent gap on both sides. It's tough to watch at the moment. Hope Dean's at the game
I would
when
agree.
the Patriots are there.
I would agree with that. This is largely a Bill Belichick issue. That's why they are the way they are, but I don't think they did much to take step one.
Yeah, I guess I'm over parsing out all the good things
The
and
blame-
bad things
the blame
that Bill.
pie.
It's like, well,
Yeah.
Bill drafted Barmore, but he also missed on Cole Strain. You can go round and around, and you can point to Elliott Wolf and said he should have done more this offseason, but we know all offseason we said they're not going to be able to hit everything perfectly, and so it's just there's so much nuance to the conversation. This is a franchise-wide problem that they've gotten at this point. It doesn't just get here with one guy making some bad. Bill made some good moves. He made some bad moves. They've got to dig their way out of it by getting talented guys on the roster.
By the way, 46 yards on that last drive.
So
of the 299,
wasn't quite too.
Yeah,
21 and 25 completions of 21 to Booty, 25 to Hunter Henry. and they would just they ran the clock.
I
And
think-
Miami said, "Yep, it's good. Game's over."
I think as a fan base, we need to move on. Mommy and Daddy aren't getting back
Correct.
together
Right.
again.
And it's
You
ludicrous
know,
to bring that up 5 weeks into the season.
We need to move on.
Yeah, and so let's move on for the email of the day. This is Addison in Fresno who writes, "Welcome to the show, Matt. I think you're doing an excellent job driving the show. Hardy may have been funnier, and especially funnier looking, but at least emails are read and phone calls are rarely dropped. 116 is on the table, fellas. I don't want May to play simply to preserve hope that maybe this team will stop sucking somebody someday, but that won't be this year. Thank you, Addison from Fresno."
I mean, it's
We got a sounder for that at all, Matt Moreau?
Email of the day.
Email of the day.
For no sauce.
I don't know if I agree with all of that.
I don't agree with any of it. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't agree with any of it. How about that?
I agree.
Thought Hardy was strikingly handsome, but fair enough.
And funny.
Back to the phone lines. The TPX hotline is 855-PATS-500.
I like poking fun at him.
Oh, yeah.
Let's
You
go
could
to
get him going, Fred.
Sam in North Carolina, home of Drake May. Good afternoon. Sam, you're next on the Patriots postgame show.
Guys, the Patriots the fans are despairing. This year's gone. You just protect May as much as you can, but you're literally some off-season moves away from making the playoffs next year. You get Will Campbell if you can. If you can't get him, you draft Banks out of Texas.
Okay.
You go out into the free agent market, you get the best offensive lineman that you can get.
Okay.
You've only got 2 receivers that are decent.
Okay.
And who are those two? Who are those two, Sam?
Who are those two?
You get a free agent wide receiver. You draft another one in the draft. You draft another offensive lineman, and you focus on that. Drake May comes along. You could make the playoffs next year. It's not hopeless.
Yeah, well, thanks for the call, Sam. I don't know that anybody's ever said hopeless.
Yeah, I appreciate
I
the
haven't heard
optimism.
that.
I do.
I appreciate the optimism.
Do your Drake May riff. If Drake May is good,
If Drake May's good, all of that can happen. If Drake May is not playing, and you start him next year, fresh, you're not making the playoffs with that. And I just think it's easy to say, you can do this if you just draft a tackle, then get a receiver, then sign a free agent receiver, then draft another lineman, and so everything you do,
It has to hit.
is going to work.
You have to be San Francisco.
right?
Yeah. Well, again, it's really hard to make sure everything works, including signing the free agent wide receiver.
Yeah.
What if you sign a free agent wide receiver and he's just sort of there?
Right.
Like
T. Higgins.
No, I'm
Kendrick Bourne.
no. When
Let's go a little closer to home.
yeah.
You sign Kendrick Bourne as a free agent receiver. It's not going to put you over the top.
The year
like
that they had the big free agent
Nelson
haul,
Aguilar.
we sat here and said, usually when teams do that, you're lucky if half of them work out.
Right. I
And
just
half
think
didn't
It's
work
rare
out.
that every
Yes.
move you make in the offseason works.
And on the flip side, if Drake May ends up playing the last 6, 7, 8 games of this season and is really good and tracks to C.J. Stroud and Jake, I don't really care if I hit on every single other one of those things. I don't need to, because he's going to lift everybody. He's going to make what you have better.
Yep.
They have 2 receivers. Who are their 2 receivers you feel great about?
Well, I think that I feel good about Polk. I think he's going to be good.
Okay.
Not as a number one, but I think he's going to be a weapon. And I like what I saw out of Pop today. I mean, when he runs a slant, it looks a lot different than when anyone else on this team runs a
He's
slant.
a threat to score every time he touches the ball.
He
Fred.
gets open quick, and even when he's falling forward, it's for another 5 or 6 yards. So, I like the 2 of those for sure. Bourne for now is fine if we can get him rolling again. But then next year, you got to get that number one guy.
They need a whole new crew, if you ask me. And I think they need high-level talent at that position. Now, it won't be as glaring a need if
Drake May's good, but Paul, you're starting to lose me a little bit.
Thank
Like,
you.
if you really think that all these wide receivers suck, you think Drake May's going to make them manageable?
I don't.
Is that-
Suck is way strong.
Well, you said we all need new ones.
I think they need high-end ones, I said.
Yeah.
They don't have any high-end ones. They have a bunch of 3s.
Yes.
2s and 3s?
Tony in the
Nope.
UK writes.
They have a bunch of 3s.
What about a Z? Do they have a Z?
Tony in the UK
The X.
writes, "Hello. Are any of you guys getting a little tired of Mayo saying generic statements with no meaning, such as, we need to execute, we need to play better, we need to take care of the fundamentals, we need to do better? These are rolled out every week and have nothing behind them. I know they have to do these press conferences.
Mayo or Bill?
But with all the media training they have, and quite evidently with stock answers. Do you get anything from these? Thanks and keep up the great work.
No, but does that matter? Like, is anything that, he says after a game, except, we're putting in May next week, going to make you happy? So I don't want him to say anything else, really.
Right.
No. I want him to do, not say.
Right, and that's what Bill did. I think he needs to say less. I think he needs to lean into those things. I think less is more with him with all this stuff.
Couldn't agree with you more, Mike.
So back to the receiver thing, just to sort of close that out. I know Matt doesn't like any receivers, but I'm just going to pick one that I think
likes Kendrick Bourne. He
that
said
I
he's a
think
Kendrick
that I
Bourne
think you'll
fan.
like.
I'm an
Justin
unabashed Kendrick
Jefferson.
Bourne.
You like Justin Jefferson?
He's a good player.
Okay, so if they had Justin,
good player.
if they
He's a
had
good
Justin Jefferson, okay, and T. Higgins as 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Now I love Demario Douglas and Jalen Poole.
I'd agree with that.
I love them.
Yeah.
Demario Douglas is never playing.
No. I want them on the field. I want all 4 of those guys on the field. Like, now I have an aerial attack. I'm not relying on Demario Douglas out of the slot to see if he can catch 6 crossing routes and maybe break one. It's hard to break one when you're the number one. You know what I mean? You're the only
No, I
threat.
know.
He's a threat to score every time he
was good,
touches the ball.
except for he's never had a touchdown.
Correct.
And I know that's where your sarcasm comes in.
Correct.
I speak, Matt. From being downstairs now for a couple of years, I know where Matt's going with this. Somebody locally wrote that he's a threat to score every time he touches the ball. Do you know how many touchdowns he has, Fred?
When he
0.
scores the next one, it'll be his first.
I think
and I like Pop Douglas, by the way.
I like
Demario
Demario Douglas and I like Jalen Pope.
Yeah.
I like them both. I don't love them like everybody else.
I think where I differ from you is I think Polk could be number 2.
Okay. And I would
But
say
that's
that
his ceiling, isn't it?
Yeah,
Mike?
I would say
Maybe.
he has the potential to do that. I don't think he runs well enough to be that. But I love his physicality and I love his toughness. He cares. I can see the intensity watching him. Even how mad he was after watching the replay. Like, I'm kind of at one part of me is like, does he know the rules? And the other part of me is like, I like a guy who gives a bleep. And and he clearly can't. Like, he has intensity.
Yep.
I like Polk.
By the way, the call was the right call.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's go back
Let's
go back to the podium and hear from Jacoby Brissett after today's loss. Patriots lose to the Dolphins 15-10.
Jacoby over here. Did you get an explanation? Did you get any sort of explanation at all regarding the pass to Jalen in the end zone that was ultimately ruled incomplete?
No, the game kept on going, so we didn't get any.
Dan Roach in the back. Jacoby, just kind of the frustration of not getting more points in the end zone today, and the mental mistakes, the penalties. How much did that? kill you guys?
It was frustrating. It honestly just nothing was good. You know, what I mean, penalties taking us backwards. We just honestly just got to play better. It's getting to that point where we just got to play better. Penalties in the wrong situations, in bad situations, and we're not good enough to do that. And to go backwards to try to score points. We need to continue to go forward. And we gotta change that, fix that.
Thanks, Jacoby. You said you've got to play better. Are there anything specifically that you can point to about your offense that can get better in the short term before the season gets out of hand?
Yeah, we got to score more points. In the short term, that's what we got to do. We got to score more points.
Miller in the front.
Jacoby, to the end of the game, you went no huddle several times. You seemed to get a rhythm, seemed to go faster. Is that something, A, you enjoy, and would you like to see that incorporated more?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to go back and watch the film and see if that's a possibility too as well. Yeah, we had some success in it, but it's a lot of plays before that caused us to lose this game. It wasn't because we just went into no huddle and we're making yards. We got to play better. We got to execute, and we got to play with good fundamentals and technique and do the right things.
As a leader on this team, how do you keep the frustration from boiling over after a game like this with so many penalties and losing 4 straight?
Yeah, you got to go back and watch the film, and that's the part about this league where now is taking it from the classroom to the field, and in those critical moments and treating every day in practice like it's the last play of the game and we're down and we need to make a play. I think that's what it's going to come down to, and it's going to come down to, and you watch all the penalties and whatever the case may be, it's all come down to fundamental and technique, and that's what we're lacking at right now.
Taylor Kyle's in the middle.
Jacoby, during your first possession for the 2-minute drive, was the idea there to try to put some points up and try to go for a double score?
Say that again?
During your first possession during the 2-minute drive, I was wondering, was
At
the
the end of the game?
Before halftime, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Was the idea to try to go for the double score, like obviously score before halftime and then come back out and try to score again?
Yeah, I mean, that's always the plan, especially when you get the ball in the second half.
Jacoby, what do you think needs to change with this offense to get it to the level where it needs to be?
We got to play better, man. It's no magic thing that we need to do. We just got to play better. We gotta execute better. We got to play with good fundamentals better. We got to do all the little things better. I think that's what we're getting to. When you back and watch this film, it's not about this person, that person, this play, that play. We just got to play better as a unit.
Jacoby, when it comes to the penalties, is there anything you can put your finger on to just sort of help explain why we're seeing as many as we're seeing?
I can't do that right now. I have to go back and watch the film and be able to, really assess that. But yeah, I'm sure it's going to come down to fundamentals. I know I keep saying it, but that's probably what it's going to come down to.
Final question? We'll go Dan Roach in the back.
Kind of a follow-up to that. Do you feel like you're seeing things where okay, I think we can get there if we cut those mental mistakes down and things like that? Are you starting to see things?
Oh,
at least
for
some
sure.
progression?
Yeah, we're making plays. We're just shooting ourselves in the foot. We're going one step forward to go 20 steps back. It's like we can't do that. And until we get to that point, we're going to continue to be frustrated at the small things. And you can't leave the game into the ref's hand. That's not what football is about. You got to go out there, play with good fundamentals, technique, do the little things right. This league is so hard already. The margin of error is so slim, and to not be able to do that because of lack of focus and a lack of things that we all have control over. We're not good enough for that yet.
Thank you, Jacoby.
Yep.
Quarterback Jacoby Brissett there after the Patriots lose at home today against the Miami Dolphins, 15-10 the score. We're going to wrap things up here quickly. First, though, a shout-out to Easy to Drink, Easy to Enjoy, Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the New England Patriots. I'm going to put you guys on the spot. We're going to go my left to right. Paul, who's a quarterback for the New England Patriots next week against the Houston Texans?
I'm going to stick with Jacoby Brissett, but, I definitely think Fred's on to something. I think it's what my answer would be if I were the head coach, but I don't get to make those decisions, despite what Felger and Maz like to say every week.
High-ranking executive.
I'm going to stick with Brissett.
Deuce.
Yeah, I same thing as Paul. I mean, it's time. I'm ready for when it's going to happen. It's just a question, I think, of behind the scenes. When do they feel confident that he's going to be able to execute a full game?
Let me just interrupt for a second.
Uh-oh.
And I know this was an off-air conversation, but I was sort of wondering, why do they keep asking all the players and the coaches about the call at the end? Ask for a pool report. They did ask for a pool report. So I just want to read that.
Readers on, please.
Here we go.
Yes, readers on. So the question is, what was the rule applied in the decision to overturn the touchdown catch by Jalen Polk? The rule was applied was the toe heel rule. What happened was he did have 1 foot in on the field of play. This is why it really annoys me. Can't he just say 1 foot was in and 1 foot was out? Right. He did have 1 foot on the field of play. At the completion of the second step, he had his toe in the field of play, but his heel came down on the white line out of bounds, so he did not have 2 feet in bounds at the conclusion of the catch. What were the elements of the play that were essential to the decision to overturn? Just like I said, he did not have 2 feet in the field of play. It was toe heel. It wasn't a drag. It was a toe heel that caused this to be an incomplete pass. For Jalen Polk to have that to be a touchdown catch, he needed to have the heel come down in the field of play and not on the white? Correct.
Oh.
So this was Vice President of Officiating George Stewart.
Or hit the ground out of bounds before the heel touched. 'Cause like he said, it wasn't a toe drag.
Yeah. I think it's a
once the heel comes down out of bounds, he's out.
See where fans don't understand, they see 2 toes. Oh, that's a catch.
Right.
But in those, the heel doesn't come down.
Right.
Like the next thing that hits out of bounds after the 2 toes is like the body. It's not the guy's heel. And so people are like, oh, once the 2 toes touch, shouldn't that be a touchdown?
Yeah.
Not when the next thing that hits is a heel.
Right.
Yeah.
So the whole foot has to come down in bounds. Like it's not dragging like you're talking about.
Right.
Like in all seriousness, I thought live it was a touchdown. But when you look at the replay, it's really not all that close. It's like half of his foot comes down out of bounds.
Right.
A necessary exercise to go to the pool report to try to get the information, but let's not make this about the referees pipe the Patriots. That did not happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not overly sure why it needed a pool report.
Well, just to cover your base.
To have the guy give you the same
And
same
if you
answer
recall,
3 times
when
in
they
a row.
reviewed it, it was fast.
Oh,
not even close.
I don't even. The ref didn't even have to
No. Right.
stop play. Like it was like, yeah, it's incomplete.
Right.
All right, so just to wrap things up, Fred, you have yet to weigh in. You've weighed in, but you haven't officially weighed in.
Drake
who's
May.
Who's a quarterback
Drake
against
May
the Houston Texans?
will start next week.
That would make a lot of people in Patriots Nation very happy.
That-
Not
that-
happy
that
today.
hammers at home.
Not happy today in Foxborough. The Patriots lose that key divisional AFC East game, Paul. They lose 15-10 today. For Paul Perillo, Fred Kirsch, Mike Dussault, Matt Lapien, Matt Morrell, Chris Judd, Josh Davis. I'm Matt Smith. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the week. Patriots Texans next week from Gillette at 1 o'clock.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.